Satish Kumar sir, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Dr. Rose Babu, you can go ahead. Sarah joined and she had addressed you.
Yes, sir. Yes. Good afternoon, all. So the next session is going to start. So the next session by Dr. Satish K. Pedozu. So he is an associate professor at Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. So he is the senior member of ACM and senior member of IEEE. To his credit, he is having many awards. So he is the recipient of Cloud Ambassador Award from AWS Syndicate, IBM SEO Award, Microsoft Educate Award, University Merit Scholarship, Best Teacher Award in his previous employment, and Best Paper and Presentation Awards and Travel Grants. Dr. Satish has publications in reputed journals like IEEE TAFS, IEEE Access, IEEE Potentials, MTAP, WPC, IGIS, and PPNA, and conferences like ACM, Mobicom, IEEE Trustcom, IEEE Mass, ACM, IEEE, ICDCN, and ICS. He is the co-author of the book on security and storage issues in the cloud environment and co-editor of the book on cloud computing systems and applications in healthcare. Dr. Satish is serving as reviewer of many reputed journals like IEEE TCC, IEEE TSC, IEEE Access, MTAP, COSC, ComNet, JNCA, and CLUS. He is the program chair for reputed this conference that IEEE Mass 2020 and founding steering committee chair of SLICE 2018. He is on board for IEEE SLICE, IEEE DSCA, IEEE Mass, IEEE ATC, IEEE SmartCom, IEEE INS, and IoT SMS. He has received grants from NMHS, MIT, Railtel, MHRD, DST, IBM, Samsung, CSI, Microsoft. He is guiding many interns, bachelors, and masters, and doctoral students. So with this, I am welcoming you, sir. So please accept our virtual felicitation.
Thank you so much.
Please accept our virtual felicitation. So now that Dr. Satish is felicitated with Gamosa and with okay. With this, I am welcoming you, sir. So now the floor is yours. You can go ahead, sir.
Just give me a minute. There is an echo.
Shamapada, sir.
Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Shamapada, sir.
Is there any echo here?
Yes, sir. Echo is coming.
How about now? You are muted. Dr. Naresh, you are muted.
Sir, echo is coming. Just log off and log in again, sir.
What about now? Is there any echo?
Yes, sir, it is okay. No echo.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's getting late. Dr. Naresh, can you please confirm if you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible and you are audible. You please go ahead.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Naresh ji, for introducing me. Uh, so, my talk is on general cybersecurity aspects and how security is important on those cybersecurity aspects. And first of all, I would like to thank NIT Silchar and Shamji for inviting me to this talk, and very happy to interact with you all. And yeah, thanks to all the participants for joining this session. So, so maybe in 2-3 slides, I'll try to cover what is cybersecurity and all. Probably you might have already learned about it, but just to tune to my lecture, I'll just cover the fundas, and then subsequently I'll talk about the two important aspects. Actually, as you all know, cloud computing, IoT, mobile computing, these are all buzzwords these days. And yeah, one has to focus on security aspects of all these important areas. So I'm not covering all areas of cybersecurity, but definitely I'll be introducing you all to at least two: cloud security and IoT security. And if time permits, I'll also introduce you to mobile security. So that's the target of today's talk. And wherever you find comfortable, you can just stop me and ask me the questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so first of all, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity itself is one of the very important emerging area these days, and government of India is like spending a lot of money. Of course, like across the world, it is important, but every governments are spending a lot of money. But government of India recently started spending huge amounts of money, particularly in the light of COVID. Everything is going online, so even our lectures are going online. Nareshji felicitated me virtually, so thanks for that. I mean, everything is happening virtually now, so we are practiced for these kind of virtual environments. But this virtual environment requires all the cyber resources, including internet, starting from the basic resource internet to websites to mobile phones, your like cloud computing. I mean, many things are involved in this. Okay, and at some other places, probably IoT is important. Okay, particularly the smart home environment, smart city environments, where government is actually spending a lot of money. Okay, so being the expert of computer science, it is always good that you learn uh, what is cybersecurity and like how to deal with it. At least as a normal user, as a citizen, it is good practice to learn what are the issues and concerns or challenges with cybersecurity, and how to at least uh, face them. Okay, and as a computer science expert, as a security expert, you are also expected to design and develop several algorithms which deals with these kind of security issues. Okay, so the cyber security is all about that, where it is a set of principles and practices. Let me repeat, it is a set of principles and practices designed to safeguard your computing assets. Okay, so when I said computing assets, it may be your like internet, maybe your desktop system, it may be your server, it may be web server, it may be application server, database server. Okay, it may be your mobile phone, it may be your IoT device. I mean, all these come under your computing assets. Okay, and all these will produce a lot of data. So that data is part of online information. So cybersecurity is all about safeguarding these assets and the information produced from these assets. Okay, and there will be a lot of threats, attacks, vulnerabilities in this business. So you need to deal with these threats and attacks. So cybersecurity is all about that. Okay, but if you formally say what is cybersecurity, so NIST is the one who provided the standard definition for it. According to it, uh, it is to prevent from damage or protection of and restoration of computers, electronic communication systems, electronic communication services, wired and wireless communications, electronic communications, including information contained therein, to ensure the most important part, that to ensure its availability, integrity, authentication, confidentiality, non-repudiation. So these are the formal ways of saying what is cybersecurity. And usually we see a lot of threats, intrusion, malware like worms, virus, trojans, or phishing attacks, ransomware attacks, spywares, spam, and they all produce different types of threats like PII, identity theft, or unsecure settings, right? Compromising computers, or maybe stolen or lost computers. I mean, there are many different types of what do you call attacks that actually lead to different types of risks as well. Okay, so one is always like one must always focus on different types of issues connected with this attacks. So most importantly, the PII part, because like for example, if you are dealing with mobile phones, then mobile phones will store very huge important information, like all your photos, all your contacts, all your videos, all your emails, social media content. Everything is actually concentrated in your phone, and your daily habits, your health parameters, your travel information. I mean, every personal information. PI is personal identifiable information. Okay, so every personal information is actually stored in your mobile phone. So if you lost that phone, then all your personal information is lost. If someone attacks on your phone, then all your personal information is at stake. Some people will store SSN numbers, for example, Aadhaar card details or license details. I mean, bank accounts. I mean, many things are there these days. Many people are trying to attack on your computing systems from these kind of compromised mobile phones. Okay. Yeah. So when you are talking about the whole idea, the sense of it, if you see 40% of the attacks are ransomware. I mean, I'm not sure how much you're able to see this, but anyhow, I'll read out the numbers and their corresponding text. Okay, so there are almost like 40% of the motives are related to ransomware attacks, and 27% of the attackers are insider attackers, typically the employees, for example. Okay, or 26% are political reasons, and remaining 26% are competition related, and I mean, it's so and so. There are several types of attacks involved, and these statistics indicate that how the attacks are happening. Okay, so you can also see that there are different types of attacks, like denial of service attack, privilege misuse, lost and stolen assets. I mean, there are different types of attacks, and their intensity of attacks is shown in this slide. Okay, and all that summary indicates that like not only the individuals, but several industries also get impacted with this cybersecurity related attacks, including healthcare, finance, educational sectors, accommodation and food services, right? Manufacturing services, or public administrations, retail services. I mean, all these different types of services are prone for attacks. Okay. So the primary objective of cybersecurity is to deal with three important directions: confidentiality, integrity, availability. Okay. So confidentiality is all about protecting your information from unauthorized access to disclosure. And integrity talks about protecting your information from unauthorized modifications. And availability, it prevents disruption in how information is accessed. So there are a couple of examples given, and I guess you all must be having some basic idea of these types of what do you call attacks. So criminals steal customers' username, passwords, credit card information is all about confidentiality. Someone alerts payroll information or a proposed product design is all about integrity. Your customers are unable to access your online services is all about availability. Okay, something is not available. Okay, yeah. So as I told you, This talk is actually about there are many aspects of cybersecurity. So we are not going into every aspect. As I told you, there is a web security, email security, there is a phishing. I mean, everywhere, right? So mobile security, Internet of Things security, cloud security, right? Server security, desktop security. I mean, host security, network security. I mean, several aspects are there under the umbrella of cybersecurity. So it's not possible to cover every aspect, but I'm just trying to give you two important aspects in which we did some research. Okay, and I'll focus only on uh, these two, cloud computing and Internet of Things aspects. And if time permits, I'll also try to cover a couple of slides from mobile security. So cloud security. Okay. This is a typical diagram which indicates like how serious the cloud security aspects are. Okay, and if you see this slide, nearly 73% of the people raised their concern about security of data. Okay, and there are many other reasons why, like I mean, they are interested. Okay, but if you see the number, 73% is very huge amount. So people are reluctant to migrate to cloud, or they are like migrating from cloud to one cloud to another cloud, or on premise to cloud, or something like that. Okay, so this is like really one of the biggest challenge. And what is cloud? Cloud is a shared pool of configurable computing resources. When I said resources in the context of cloud, it talks about networks, servers, storage, applications, services, and everything. Okay, and these services, you must be able to access them ubiquitously, at any time, conveniently, at any place, right? On demand. I mean, on demand means at any time. Ubiquitously means from any device. Convenient means at any place. Okay. So while you are traveling, or while you are at your home, or I mean, whatever it is, like while doing other work, also you must be able to access these resources. Okay. And these resources must be available very quickly, rapidly. Okay. So rapidly provisioned and rapidly released with minimal management effort. Okay. So this is the definition of cloud. And what a cloud consists of? Cloud consists of typically a set of data centers, as minimum as single data center, and it may have multiple data centers. Okay. And in a data center, it will have multiple hosts. Okay. And on each host, there will be several virtual machines. Okay. And each virtual machine may be having one guest operating system. Okay. Host may be having host operating system, right? So most of you must be knowing what is cloud, but just I'm trying to emphasize the size of the cloud. So when you see this picture, you see that there are huge number of data centers, and in a data center, huge number of hosts, and again in a host, huge number of virtual machines. So it is the size of like hundreds, thousands of computing machines that are actually working in your computing environment. Okay, that's the reason why cloud is really important. Okay, and its security is also very important. Okay, when you see, if one virtual machine gets attacked, one host gets attacked by attacker, there is every possibility that entire cloud may be at stake. It may be risk. Okay, that's the reason why people are reluctant to migrate to cloud. Yeah, and it's not about one cloud, but several times what happens is people actually collaborate with one cloud to the other cloud. Okay, so like for example, I'm from IIT Roorkee. IIT Roorkee is having IIT Roorkee cloud. It's a private cloud. IIT Roorkee employees can access that private cloud. Okay, but that cloud may not be having all the resources at all the times. So it may be taking the help from public cloud like Azure cloud or maybe AWS cloud or maybe Google cloud, some other cloud. Okay, so that's environment, what you call it as federated environment. Okay, and there is no guarantee that the private, the security aspects, whatever the private cloud is actually adopting, the same secure policies are adopted by public cloud environments. So the data in your private cloud may be secure, but because the resources are insufficient in your private cloud, when you are taking the services of public cloud, then there is every possibility that there may be leakage from public clouds. Okay, and some other times, many people what they do is they use brokers. So broker services. So when they use broker services, it is likely possible that the attacks may actually happen from broker services. Okay. So broker services may not be following all the security measures in order to provide fast servicing mechanisms. Okay. So there are like several places. So I'm trying to convince you that internally cloud is having several attack sources, starting from virtual machine to host to data center level. Okay, to an individual cloud. And apart from that, there is every possibility that one cloud may be having a integration with other cloud environments, and the attacks may happen from other cloud environments also. And some other times, the clouds may be accessed through different brokers by a couple of users, and attacks may happen from these brokers also. Okay, so these are different sources of attacks that may happen in your cloud environment. So this raises a couple of important points as far as security in cloud is concerned. Okay, particularly in the context of end user, these issues are really, really important. Okay, for example, the end user of cloud computing usually not aware about who has the right to access your data. Very, very important question, right? Like being the user of the data, you are the only one authorized to access it, or since you are storing this data in a server inside the cloud, so some administrators may be handling that data. What are the chances that those administrators are also accessing your data? Okay, they are able to see your data. What are the chances that the cloud service provider is trying to sell your data, or like using the data, maybe analyzing the data internally and misusing that analysis data for many other purposes, right? So it's not about just storing the data in the cloud, but that may be giving chance to the attacker, a chance for the attacker to access the data. Attacker may be insider attacker in this typical scenario. And there is another possibility that one of the VM may be accessing the data. There is every possibility that VMs may be accessing the data. So attackers may be there internally from the one of the VMs or host or any data center also. Okay, so there are outside attackers also possible. And next important question is, are the backups encrypted? Where is the backup stored? So when you are most of you must be knowing that cloud actually stores the data in usually triplicate format. Okay, that means every single copy of the data is actually kept in 3 different geographical places. Like one copy is kept in US, another copy is kept in UK, another is in India, let us say, right? So for some geographical reasons, if there is any like natural calamity, like earthquake or like flooding or something like that, for some attacks, even if the entire data center washes out in a particular place, the data, the second copy, third copy are also available in other some countries. So there is every chance that the data is safe. Okay, so there are like what I'm trying to convince is that for every copy there are multiple backups available in your cloud. Okay, in order to safeguard your data. But what about the encryption of these backups? How much these backups are encrypted, right? So where is the backup? Is it in your or somewhere else? And if it is somewhere else, who is accessing that data? Okay, like as long as it is in your country, it's okay. But if somebody, if it is in some other country, you don't know like who is accessing that data, right? And typically, it's not possible to know even in your country also who is accessing the data in your cloud. But if there is a possibility, but other countries you cannot, right? So there are multiple reasons why security challenges are very, very crucial in your cloud. And how is the data transmitted and encrypted? How users are authenticated? What authentication algorithms are used? How complex they are? Okay, what are the chances that man-in-the-middle attacks are avoided? Okay, has the service provider been tested by a repeated third party? This is another important concern, right? Most of the times we trust the service providers. Like for example, you store all your data in cloud, let's say Google Cloud, your Google Drive. Okay, and some of your expressions are stored in your Facebook Cloud. So your photos, videos, your chatting expressions, posts, everything is stored in your uh, Facebook. WhatsApp is a cloud. Facebook is a cloud. Okay, and your um, Google Drive is a cloud. Okay, but do you have any third party which is verifying that they are the safe players? Just because of the name, you're trusting them and you're using their services. But have you ever verified that these are the authorized parties to provide these services? Okay, is there any guarantee that they are not misusing your services? Is there any guarantee that they are not misusing your data? Like I'll post a simple question to every one of you. Okay, Google Drive, Google provides nearly 15 GB of space to everyone free of cost. Okay, 15 GB is almost equal to 16 GB. 16 GB pen drive. How much it costs? It costs around nearly 400 rupees minimum. Okay, based on the quality and all, it raises. Okay, but as far as our understanding is concerned, in a cloud, the Google stores your data in triplicates, 3 places. So if it is giving 15 GB means there are actually 45 GB, 15 GB at one place, 15 GB another place, 15 GB in another place. So it is spending 45 GB of space for you. Okay, and at free of cost. So it's almost like 1500 rupees per head they're spending, they're expending, and they're giving you a free of cost. Why they will provide you free of cost? What is the benefit to them? It's not a charity, right? So they must be misusing your data somewhere, right? So you must be aware about all these things. Likewise, your Facebook, You're posting a lot of data. They are also misusing this data. WhatsApp, you're posting a lot of things on the WhatsApp. So they are learning your behavior, they are learning, and they are misusing somewhere this data. Okay. So it's not free. Nothing is free, right? They are definitely somewhere misusing this. Okay. And you guys must be knowing about Facebook. Administrators sold the data recently, like in US, and somewhere I read that it influenced some election because of that data. So that election result, suppose if you are influencing the people based on such data, and it is impacting one country, entire country for a couple of years. So it's not like a small thing. So it's not about like hundreds bucks, $200 we are talking about. It is for generations. There are like a lot of ways it is influencing the life also. So that's a different aspect. But I'm just trying to give you a hint that the most of the cloud service providers, you're trusting them, which is not actually a good practice. And there are no third parties in cloud environment which actually authorize or justify or test that this is the right cloud party who is providing the services. Okay. So how effectively your data is segregated from others' data? So in the cloud, as I told you, there are virtual machines, there are hosts, right? And there are data centers. So there must be proper isolation from one data center to the other data center, one host to the other host. Most importantly, one virtual machine to the other virtual machine. Okay. And we will talk about this in the coming slides in more detail. Is your data encrypted with good algorithm? How qualitative this algorithm is? And another important concern is who holds the keys? This is very, very important question. Who holds the keys? You alone, or the copies of the keys are also there with the service provider or the administrators of the cloud? Okay. And where is your data located? In which country? I already raised this point. Like there are multiple geographical locations used for storing your data, and it's not a single place. So there is always a legislative question. Like suppose your data is lost, where do you raise the complaint? In your local country? Suppose suppose data is lost in US. So if you raise the complaint here, how to raise the how to recover the data from somewhere in other country? So for that, you should have proper legislative laws. And unfortunately, many countries are not having proper information technology acts or data protection mechanisms, or any such legislative procedures not thoroughly adopted. Even India is still struggling in that direction. Okay. So this is another important concern, not only just securing the data, but like if some mischievous thing happen, then if some vulnerability occurs, then someone must be some mechanism must be there to question and recover from it. And unfortunately, the current legislative procedures do not support that. Okay, as I told you, this is a very important concern. Data segregation is very, very important concern. Okay, and particularly when we are talking about environment where there is a host, and on a host there is a hypervisor. On hypervisor is required to virtualize different virtual machines. Okay, so this is a hypervisor which segregates one virtual machine from another virtual machine. What are the chances that attacker may attack on the hypervisor itself, so that they compromise not just the one machine but all the virtual machines? Okay, compromising on single hypervisor helps in compromising all the virtual machines together. Okay. So it's one aspect is that one virtual machine may attack on another virtual machine. Okay, that's a different aspect that we will come to. I mean, we will discuss that in the coming time. Okay. The other aspect is this one we call it as cross VM attack. Okay, but apart from that, if someone attacks an hypervisor itself, then everything is lost. Okay, so this attack, what you call it as hyperjacking attack, very exclusive for cloud environment, and this is a really challenging one. Okay, and most of the times, trusted platforms or remote attestations are the mechanisms typically used to deal with these kind of attacks, and most of the base level attacks are rootkit attacks, and one needs to deal with such rootkit attacks or to go with remote attestation mechanisms. Okay, another concern is like deploying the firewalls in the cloud environment. So we are talking about, like, we have already understood different possible attacks and their crux of it. Okay, now we are trying to understand what are the best ways to protect our systems in the cloud environment, right? So we wanted to deploy intrusion detection system in the environment. Okay, so in order to deploy an intrusion detection system, right, typically the very first step what we do is we actually deploy the firewalls, and typically the physical firewalls are very important. And in cloud environment, even apart from physical firewalls, we will use virtual firewalls. Let me repeat, virtual firewalls, and they protect the local host. Okay, so this picture actually depicts that environment where there are physical firewalls which protect the external attacks from outside environment to internal environments. And in the internal environment, you may be having either virtualized servers or physical servers or non-virtualized servers. Okay, and the traffic may be routed to any one of these servers typically. Okay, and as long as like the traffic is from outside the world, then your physical servers are good. I'm sorry, physical firewalls are good enough to deal with this kind of attacks. Okay, and there is always another possibility that one host system may attack on another host system, maybe virtualized or non-virtualized server, but there is every possibility that one host system may attack on another host system, and these kind of attacks need also to be addressed. Okay, so what you call it as intra-host segmentation. So these kind of attacks are typically also dealt by your physical firewalls. Okay, but on a single host, like this example, on a single host, you are already having several virtual machines. So what are the chances that one virtual machine may attack on another virtual machine? So one virtual machine may attack on another virtual machine, right? So if that is the case, then there must be a mechanism to address it. So that's why internally you can deploy a virtual firewall which actually monitors the internal traffic. So this is your external traffic, and this is your internal traffic. So both must be taken care. And here where we talk about what is called virtual firewalls. Okay, virtual firewalls are very important, and you must know how to deploy them and how they protect your computing environments in the cloud. And apart from that, so firewalls is one aspect of protecting your system in the cloud. Okay, particularly deployment of virtual firewalls. And apart from that, we also need to worry about what is called deploying of IDS IPS systems. Okay, so intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems deployment is also very important, right? So in this picture, there are different case studies I have discussed, and the whole idea of these case studies is to indicate you that what are the attack possibilities in your cloud environment and how to deal with them. I mean, this single picture depicts all the different possible attack mechanisms. Okay. So in this picture, let's say this is a virtual machine, this is another virtual machine. Okay. So if you deploy IDS IPS in a switch, okay, then it may like monitor the traffic coming from outside to inside, okay, or going inside to outside. I mean, as far as the traffic monitoring is concerned, it is very good. But only the problem is it can't monitor actually the traffic which is going inside the environment from one virtual machine to another virtual machine. There is every possibility that one virtual machine may attack on another virtual machine, and there is no way you can stop this if you deploy IDS IPS on the switch. Okay. So one alternative way to fix this is to go with deploying IDS IPS on every virtual machine. Okay, and this is also a good mechanism, but the problem is some users, the customers may not want the full-fledged security mechanism in their machines. Okay, if you enforce IDS IPS on every guest virtual machine, okay, then there is every possibility that it may reduce the speed of your computations, and it may increase the complexity of executing your computing systems. So one alternative way it is, I mean, people, the cloud service providers need to be very judicious enough, to deal with these security aspects of cloud, where to deploy, how to deploy, and how to protect their machines, and safeguard their data, users' data is one aspect. And some users may be ready to store their data. They're fine losing the data. They're fine getting attacked from the attackers. Okay, but they don't want to spend extra finances to buy a virtual machine which is having security aspects. So this is another way to deal with this. So in that case, the service provider will deploy a security watchdog. One of the virtual machines he will recruit as security watchdog, which monitors the traffic flow through hypervisor, traffic flow through different switches, and it analyzes something like forensics. So it analyzes and it figures out what are the attacks are happening, but it cannot prevent the attacks. Okay, it may allow the attack, but the security watchdog can alert the service provider about the attacks. Okay, and typical combination is having all the possibilities. Like some VMs are blank VMs without any security. Some VMs are having IDS IPS deployed at local machine. Okay, or some along with that, it is also having security watchdog at hypervisor installed, and if required, you may also install some sort of IDS IPS at switches also. Okay, so these are all different ways in which with which you can actually achieve better security in your cloud environment. So there are many attacks in your cloud, including SLA violation attack, data loss or manipulation attack, malicious system administrator attack, dishonest computation in remote server, DNS attack, man in the middle attack, data privacy breach, cloud malware injection attack, cross VM attack. I mean, many attacks are there. Okay, And definitely it's not possible to cover what all these attacks are. But with the name itself, you can actually sense the meaning of all these attacks. Typically, like dishonest computation is very commonly, like happening attack in your cloud, where they say that they will provide you a computing machine of this capacity, but and in the reality you may not achieve those capabilities. Okay, so I mean several other possible attacks are okay, and we have published a book on this security and data storage aspects in cloud computing, and you guys can refer to this book for more on the attacks related to cloud. Okay, and on every slide I am showing you a couple of research publications, and you can actually refer to these publications also to learn about what additional research aspects we have done, and what are the different attacks we have discussed, how we dealt with those attacks. So there are many security threats as far as cloud is concerned: session hijacking, software modification, software interruption, impersonation, traffic flow analysis, exposure in network, defacement, connection flooding, distributed denial of service, and disrupting communications, programming flaws, etc., etc. So those are typical, what do you call, cloud security related challenges. So I give 1-2 minutes break here to take questions from the participants. So in edge security, when you have several devices here, okay, maybe your IoT devices, maybe your um, IoT devices or cloud, or maybe your servers, whatever it is, right? So you have multiple devices, and the other side, you can also have cloud, okay, and you get the services actually from this cloud, maybe both sides, okay, and typically we are having edge computing, okay, and the edge nodes are very close to your like devices, typical devices. So these edge nodes are small clouds. So, and these are also distributed cloud environments. Okay. So because of that reason, whatever the attacks the cloud will face, more or less edge will also face same attacks. Okay. So that's the reason why I mean, apart from that, they are similar to your normal servers also. Okay. So that's why it will have additional like attack surfaces, local local attacks as well as distributed attacks. Both are possible on edge kind of environments. So edge security is much more challenging, and I mean, this leads to many attack surfaces. Like for example, earlier we are having only single cloud and then devices. Okay, but now because of small clouds, several small clouds, so the data is stored locally now on different machines, and definitely the capability to address the security aspects, I mean, to safeguard from the attack sources is less, because the computational capacity, the storage capacity, the processing capacity, all the aspects, these machines are having low resources. So that's why the attack surfaces are very high on the edge computing environments compared to your cloud environments. Yeah, hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Sir, again, one question is there. If that clouds are distributed at a local end, so definitely there also data is stored in a triplicate format. Is that so?
No. Edge nodes are different. Edge
Okay.
nodes are local machines, and they are typically single machines.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I mean, they are local processing units. The usually consolidated data is stored in your cloud, and at the cloud it is triplicate. To put it a simple form, you have got a CPU. If you all guys must be knowing like about the computer architecture environment, you have got CPU and you have got memory, right? And in between, you got several cache. So cache is a temporary, storage. Okay, and frequently accessed data is stored. So edge nodes are very similar way like your cache. Okay, between your CPU and memory, where CPU is something like in your environment, these are the devices. Memory is something like your cloud, and this cache is your edge nodes. So they actually store only temporary data, temporary processing, and consolidating or aggregating the data, something like that. Those are the activities that are happening. So that's why uh, the triplication is, I mean, nothing is permanent here. So triplication is not required. Yeah. So are there any other questions? All right. If there are no further questions, let's move on and let's talk about IoT security. So IoT is another very important concern. So cloud is almost established so far, and many algorithms are developed, and lot of research has already been done on securing the cloud environments, and it has become almost stable. And as somebody pointed out, now cloud is emerging to edge computing and how to integrate cloud between your IoT devices or mobile devices and cloud using edge kind of nodes. So cloud is more developed towards those aspects for computing, edge computing kind of environments, and how to integrate them. And in the process of integration, how to secure the environment. So it is in very advanced stage. Cloud security is in very advanced stage. Okay. And many things are happening. Okay. We also did a lot of research in that direction, and a lot of papers are published. But IoT is almost like an emerging area, though it is already in practice in several advanced countries. developed countries, but many things still need to happen in IoT environment, and particularly security aspects are concerned. IoT security aspects are concerned. Uh, really, you need to do a lot of things. Okay, so let's first understand like what are the attack sources, what are the weaknesses we have in your IoT centric cloud. Okay, so let's understand first challenges, and then let's try to like move towards what is called, maybe in one or two slides similar to cloud, we'll try to understand different attacks and uh, solutions what we have. Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible to everyone? Can confirm, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. First, let us formally understand what is IoT. IoT is a self-configurable adaptive system. Let me repeat, self-configurable adaptive system having several network of sensors and network of sensors. Okay, several smart objects. Smart objects means they are some, I mean, they're having some intelligence within them. Okay, whose purpose is to interconnect all things. So this interconnection is very important word, right? Including everyday objects and industrial objects in such a way as to make them intelligent, programmable, and more capable of interacting with the humans. So that's the motive of Internet of Things. Okay, this was first pronounced by Kevin Ashton in 1999. Okay, and yeah, the proposal was also like, it was very interesting. I mean, story. There is a very interesting story about that. So I'm not going into that depth of it. Just I want to give you a hint that he is an employee in some industry, and he is supposed to count the number of bags. I mean, his team, and at some point of time, he thought uh, humans make mistakes, so he wanted to depend on automation. So at that time, RFID tags were popular. So he introduced RFID tagging to every like bag that is traveling on the guided vehicle. So there is a RFID reader, so that reads the RFID tags of the bags. So he coined the word Internet of Things after doing these experiments in the industry where he was working. Okay, so that's how this has become very popular word. Though there was sensor networking already there, wired and wireless sensor networks are already there, RFID tags were already there. I mean, these environments are already there, but he made into practice this word at that time using that experience. And this slide indicates how effectively people are adapting the smart home products across the globe. Particularly, US is leading with 25% of adoption by 2020 itself. Okay, and many other countries are in queue. Similarly, India is also adopting smart home products. Pune, Delhi, Mumbai, typically Hyderabad, or these are different places which are having highly adapted home automation products. Okay. So I just wanted to give you just quick glimpse on how this IoT is really important. And see, when you like want to take a shower, during the shower taking time, most of the times you sing a song, and some people will carry the mobile phone inside and they play the songs through mobile phone in the washroom, and many other ways, iPod or something like that. Okay, but what if your shower itself plays the song? Just you select the songs in your mobile phone, then your shower gets connected to your mobile phone and it plays the songs, whatever you play on your mobile phone, okay, while you are taking the bath. And maybe the water dances according to the song dynamics. And like you can design anything like this. And this is what exactly what do you call the advantage of IoT. Okay. So there is a huge beauty of taking the advantage of it's only the imagination that matters now. How to use your daily life things smart, how to make them smart, how to use them in a smarter way. So similarly, you can also talk about the daily life mirror. Okay, you have a mirror, we use it on everyday basis. Okay, but have you ever thought that this mirror can do miracles for you? Okay, this mirror can provide you not only beautification mechanisms, like for example, in this picture, uh, like the mirror itself guiding you. Okay, these are the dark spots you have, and in order to deal with these dark spots, use these kind of uh, tools, or these are the makeup mechanisms. So there it is giving you all sort of techniques, ideas to improve your beauty of your face. Okay, so that means your mirror has become smart now, right? And of course, it can be used for improving the precision of your beautification, right? And many other purposes also it can be used. So it's a very small product that is there in every household items, but actually if you make them smart, then it can do miracles for you. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, IoT and IoT's impact, okay, on the human society. So your shower, your mirror, I mean, I'm just taking all the products from your washroom. Okay, and imagine every room is having many products, right? Like your TV, for example. In the olden days, people used to operate this TV with remote. Later, people started using that with operating your TV with mobile phones. Now, not even mobile phones required. There will be a camera connected to your phone, I mean TV, that takes your hand gestures, and your hand gestures, waving hands is enough to take the commands. Okay, so I mean, day by day, things are getting smarter. Okay, everything in your home is becoming smarter, right? So I'm taking several examples of smart home environment, and this is another important and interesting example how helpful such a product is. So this is a doorbell, but this is a smart doorbell. Okay, this is having a camera, a mic, a speaker, a mic. Okay, and whenever a person arrives to your door, the camera actually, this door is actually connected to your mobile phone, integrated with your mobile phone, so that whoever comes, your camera monitors it and it shows you on your mobile phone. Okay, and not only that, from your phone, you can give instructions to the person. So from the speaker, they get the instructions, and the person can speak from the mic, and you can hear the instructions, I mean, the messages of the person from the mic to your mobile phone. So even if you are not in your home, if someone reaches your home, you can still interact with them. You can still interact with them from this doorbell. So that's why this is smart doorbell. Okay. And you can see them from your camera, and you can interact with them. How beautiful it is, right? So this product is really, really amazing. Okay. And very much useful. But I mean, we have seen so far good of it, like smart shower, smart, like, mirror, now smart doorbell, and many smart things are there in your home. Okay. But I'll tell you one simple trick how attackers can attack on such products, how they are vulnerable, how weak they are. Okay. So if you see, when the system gets disconnected, like when this doorbell typically is connected to your Wi-Fi, right? And through the Wi-Fi, there is an internet. And through the internet, it is connected to your mobile phone. So that even if you are not there in the home, it still works fine. Okay. Right? Or it may be directly connected to your local Wi-Fi if you are in the home. Okay. The point is here, I mean, anytime this may get disconnected. The doorbell connectivity to Wi-Fi, I mean, several times the disconnections may happen. Okay. And whenever there is a disconnection, okay, the IoT product, the Wi-Fi enforces you to reconnect, and this reconnection is not sufficient, but re-authentication is also required. The username password, entering of username password is also important. Okay, so it just simply says it got de-authenticated. Hey guy, this system got de-authenticated. You just need to immediately get connected to it. Okay, so it sends a message for reconnecting, and simply on your mobile phone, it shows front door is no longer connected to the internet. So please reconnect to Wi-Fi. Okay. And it shows like no signal area, something like that. Okay. So it sounds interesting, right? Things are looking good on the front end. Okay. So whenever disconnected, like it needs to reconnect and all. Okay. But unfortunate part of this reconnection is that whenever it gets disconnected, and whenever it is reconnecting the IoT devices, okay, they share the authentication details. When it is re-authenticating, they share the authentication details in XML file, and typically these are the plain text. I mean, they are shared in plain text form. Even the password is shared in plain text form. So if there is a doorbell and it got disconnected, and whenever it is getting reconnected, okay, any man in the middle can actually intercept these signals of reconnection, and they can track the packets. Okay, it's very easy, right? Packet capturing is very easy. So they can capture the packets, since it is not, though it is following encryption mechanisms, okay, the password mechanisms, but when it is reconfiguring, it is insisting, I mean, it is sending the data in plain text form. And that is the time where the attacker will try to intercept these packets. They capture the packets and they read the passwords, the plain text passwords, So they get to know what is the Wi-Fi password. They get connected to your home network, and they start reading all the packets, all the communications that are happening from your other components of your home. I mean, all other smart devices, and also from your mobile phone, and everything is captured, and they can get to know what you are doing. Okay. So these kind of man-in-the-middle attacks are quite possible and quite easy in the case of IoT devices. Okay. And this example shows the gravity of the problem. Okay, how severe these IoT-centric attacks are, right? And there, I mean, in US, there is a casino shop. You must be knowing casino shops, right? Where people go and play the casino game, and like there are many other things happening in those casino shops. Okay, so in order to attract the public, the owner of the shop, what he has done is he has kept an aquarium in the shop. Okay, but this aquarium, he felt like monitoring it manually very difficulty. So what he has done is he simply made it IoT enabled. So there are sensors deployed inside the aquarium. Those sensors actually monitor the health of the fishes. They monitor the food level, water level, oxygen levels, and everything. And it just simply generates the alarms to the owner that there is a shortage of water, there is a shortage of food, there is a suffocation in that, oxygen levels are low, something like that. It keeps on giving you the messages. So you don't need to be manually verifying it. Your phone will get the messages, and that means aquarium is talking to you now to your mobile phone, through your mobile phone. Okay, so this way the attacks are really possible. How? When it is enabled. So maybe let me put it this way. So some fine morning, what happened is mm, there was huge amounts. I mean, I don't remember the amount, but it was a very biggest fraud that has happened. I mean, attack that has happened in US at that time. And you can just search with this title and in your internet to read about it. Okay, and I'm just trying to give you a hint that there was an attack and there was a huge amounts of loss for the owner. It took almost 3 to 4 months for US police itself to figure out. I mean, they are having advanced technologies and all. In spite of that, they couldn't trace the case for 3 to 4 months. They do not understand how the attack has happened. And after a lot of research, they figured out that the attack source was aquarium. So because it is IoT enabled, so attacker uh, compromised this IoT centric aquarium, and he became part of the network, and he monitored the transactions of the owner, and he learned the username passwords of the servers. And unfortunately, the aquarium, the mobile phone, and is server, which is actually taking care of all these financial aspects, is casino games. I mean, everything is interconnected, and more or less passwords are also similar. So that's why attacker was comfortably able to attack on the systems. So I mean, IoT is good, it helps, but there are weaknesses also, and attacks are quite comfortable, smooth in IoT-centric environments. Okay, so this is another example case study of that. Likewise, if you keep on learning these examples, there are many, many examples. And your locks can be fingerprint based locks. Your thumb impression is sufficient to open the lock. You don't need to carry the keys. Okay. So they are smart locks. But unfortunately, I mean, these days, how the people are cheating with duplicate thumb impressions, right? So attacking on these kind of thumb impression based or fingerprint based locks is quite easy and already in practice. And as I told you, there is a camera which is actually taking the instructions from your hand gestures, okay, to change the channel or whatever in your TV. Okay, this is good in one aspect, but I mean, being the IoT device, a smart device, not having good resources to run the security algorithms, okay, attackers can quickly compromise on your camera, and they can actually take the videos of your your daily life activities. Okay, so every smart activity can actually a attack possible. So likewise, you have 100 ways of getting the benefit using IoT. Like for example, you can monitor the plant and its life, and whenever water is not there, then the plant will send a message to you that I need water immediately. Then you will give the water to it. And whenever light is going down, so you can like take care of the health of the plant by making it IoT centric. Okay, but as I told you, these are all attack sources: your TV, your refrigerator, your plants, your lights, your fans, okay, your doorbells, your locks. I mean, everything in your home, okay, can be a source of attack. So that's why IoT is good, but unfortunately, the computational capabilities, storage capabilities, or you can say processing capabilities, or its memory capacity. I mean, all these are really, really weak, and they cannot run complex algorithms. So you need to rethink about IoT-centric security as far as computer science guy is. I mean, you being the computer science guy, and you have to develop new algorithms which are typically lightweight in nature. Lightweight in the sense like smaller computational capacity. At the smaller computational capacity also, you should be able to run high-end algorithms which protect your environments. So this is one environment we have seen, the smart home environment, where you have got hundreds, thousands of possibilities of making your products smart and your home smart. Okay, but at the same time, every small source can lead to attack, and your attacker can enter into your home without your knowledge. They steal your personal information, daily habits, and everything. Okay, so that's the weakness of your IoT centric environment. So developing advanced algorithms in the interest of IoT is very, very important. And apart from this, you also need to follow some best practices. I mean, you should make your people smart, not only devices smart, but your people also smart to deal with these kind of issues. So you have to make them learn how to deal with, for example, passwords, how to take care of, tough passwords, or you can say uh, how not to use free passwords, I mean free Wi-Fi's. I mean many things are there. I mean these are all the ways with which you can protect your environments. Apart from like applying the security algorithms is one aspect, but hygiene, following the hygiene, security hygiene is another important aspect. So I mean this can be possible only when the humans also actually follow the security hygiene, right? So these are all very, very important aspects as far as IoT centric issues are concerned. So there are several types of attacks that are possible in the case of IoT devices. privilege escalation, eavesdropping, brute force password attacks, malicious node injections, firmware hijacking, denial of service, physical tampering. I mean, there are different types of attacks possible in the context of IoT, and one needs to deal with different types of algorithms to like overcoming them. And when you talk about IoT is completely new dimension of thinking. It is having different types of protocols, different types of infrastructures, different types of identification mechanisms. So like IPv4 is the norm for normal network, but probably IPv4 may not be sufficient in the coming time. Probably neighbor networks may be used. So different, or IPv6, or as I told you, URIs or neighbor networks. I mean, many different technological changes are there in your IoT. Okay, and probably your HTTP may not be working, HTTPS may not be working, where you have to talk about MQTT, CoAP, MQP kind of new messaging protocols. Okay, so IoT talks about, I mean, almost all aspects. It is having like different protocols, different architectures, different business dynamics. Okay, I mean semantics, etc., etc. Okay, so this, I mean, these changes enforces IoT security also. I mean, of course, they lead to new threats, new attacks, and obviously you need to design new security protocols and security mechanisms. Okay, and as the protocols are changing, the protocol design should escalate from security aspects as well. Okay, so that's the like very important concern about IoT protocols and threats. So again, I'll give 1 minute break, and let me take a couple of questions, and I'll ask the organizers, Dr. Naresh or Tomji or anyone, please tell me how much time I have. Is that over session? So Dr. Naresh or any organizer.
Yes, sir.
So how much time I have?
Up to 2, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Or you can keep 10-15 minutes for the discussion. No issues.
Yeah, I will just introduce mobile security for 10 minutes, and then we will close it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
10 or 15 minutes and close it.
Okay, sir.
Probably discussing the solutions and algorithms may take longer time. I will not
Okay.
go into that, but I'll just try to cover the basic challenges, at least challenges in mobile security.
Okay, sir. Go ahead. Sir. Thank you.
So any questions from participants? Let me check the chat box. Up
Sir,
to 2
good
p.m.
afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can I know the exact difference between RPL protocol and the data protocols?
Actually, typically both are same. RPL basically works at, I mean, network layer, data link layer transition, and these data protocols actually work at, I mean, application layer and transport layer. But I mean, it's more towards routing. Those are more towards message passing. Something like your HTTP, HTTPS are the data protocols, and RPL is something like your like, you know, any routing protocol like AODV, AMQP, something like that. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. In RPL protocol, if we after constructing DODAG, so if we want to transfer the packet from source to destination, how can we route this, sir? Is there any control messages are available for that one?
Sorry,
In-
you're asking about RPL protocol?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After constructing DODAG.
Mhm.
In RPL, we are going to construct the DODAG before transferring the data from source to destination. After constructing DODAG, so is there any control message to transfer the data from source to destination?
I mean, as I told you, like it is also similar to your routing protocol. So it requires, particularly RPL requires control messages to make sure the path is established. Which tools are used for simulating IIoT? There are many tools. IIoT, I don't have any idea. If you want exclusively industry-oriented IoT, I don't have any idea. But like general IoT, there are many tools. Like even Puja simulator is there, very popular. Okay, and if you wanted to go with cloud-centric, fog-centric, then iFogSim is there. So many similar protocols, tools are there. Okay, thank you. So let me quickly move on to the next topic. So let's try to understand mobile security aspects. And since we worked on Android mobile, so I'll be focusing my discussion or like centralizing my discussion only to Android-centric challenges. Okay. But initially, I'll give you general idea. But in the coming slides, I'll be more focused towards what is called Android phones. So this is the slide typically indicating you how day by day Android market share, mobile phone market share is increasing when compared to desktop devices. So desktop devices market share is going down, and mobile phones market share is increasing day by day. Similarly, internet traffic share is also increasing day by day from the mobile compared to your desktop traffic. Okay, is going down. So these are one first indicator that how people shifting from desktop based usage to phone based usage. And as we all know that typically we use what is called mobile phones for internet browsing or online shopping, okay, or maybe these are different example case studies, social networking, gaming apps, and so on. Okay, and nearly 3.2, but actually it is now 3.8 billion. Okay, roughly 3.8 billion smart users are there. Okay, smartphone users, right? And total 4.8 billions of mobile phone users are there. So you can imagine like how the mobile phone users are increasing, and they are almost equal to population size. On an average, every human being is having one phone these days. And out of them, nearly 50-60% of the phones are smartphones. Okay. And if you see what do you call like this picture, it shows you the volume share of a particular operating system, market share. Okay. And day by day, Android operating system is gaining the market. Its iOS operating system is consistent, almost consistent, and their market share is fixed. I mean, around 20% from the beginning, right? And Android is growing. It's almost like 75-80%, remaining 75-80%, and 1 to 2% of other operating systems. Almost other operating systems are dead. Only 2 operating systems are like sharing the market, Android and iOS. So why this is important? I just wanted to indicate you that Android operating system is having the major share in the market compared to any other operating system. Okay. And you can also see the perspective of the attackers, why they focus on mobile phones. As I already mentioned earlier, we store usually a lot of sensory data, personal data in the phone, including your images, videos, personal information like contacts, right? And maybe like your location information, your daily habits, your fingerprints. I mean, you use your phone for many purposes, right? And attacker obviously targets this personal information or identity or maybe financial benefits. Okay, they try to leak several information stored on your phone. Okay, maybe bank related information, maybe authentication credentials, maybe for example, net banking or credit card information, something like that. Okay, and many messages, SMSs, WhatsApp messages, OTPs, right? And many browsing credentials are there, right? And I mean, I just, I mean, yeah, in the worst case, on your phone, it will store the logs, right? Every activity of the phone is stored as a log, right? Even device details, IMEI number, or I mean the serial number, many other device specific information, SIM card specific information. I mean, a lot of information is there on your phone. So, I mean, attackers obviously target on this kind of information, and compromising the mobile phones is quite easy. And that's where attacks surface from your mobile phones compared to desktop phones, I mean desktops, right? And some statistics, this picture shows you some statistics in 2000, the first ever mobile malware on GSM was identified, and it was just through a bulk SMS attack. And in 2004, there was a first ever mobile malware on Symbian operating system, and it was spreading through Bluetooth at that time, and nearly 400 samples were identified. And at that time only, the McAfee and F-Secure companies tied together to deal with this attack. I think that attack name is Kabir malware or something like that. Okay. And later, in 2009, first ever iOS related mobile malware was identified. And in 2010, first ever Android iOS malware was identified. And almost like same time, 2009-10, the media flash player was very popular, and many attacks were happening through, particularly masquerading attack was there from the media player, okay, particularly through Android phones. And just from 2010 to 2012, 2-year span, the number of malware samples on Android phone increased like anything. It was just 200 samples to 12,000 samples in just 2 years of time. And you can imagine 2012 to 2018, just 6 years span, right? It was around like 6 millions of malware samples. So you can imagine how many attackers, I mean, how many loopholes are there on your Android phone. and how the attackers are exploiting the Android phone. I mean, you can see the numbers. See, just two samples to 200 samples, and 200 samples to 12,000 samples, 12,000 samples to 6 million samples. Almost 97% of the malware samples are actually from Android phones. You can see the severity of the attacks on Android phones, particularly mobile phones, particularly Android phones. Yeah, this is a graph which shows how Android malware in millions it is increasing. It crossed almost 6 millions, and recently it got reduced, but yeah, the numbers are drastically increasing. And obviously the motive is very clear, as I told you, financial gain or personal information, leaking personal information, identity theft. Those are the typical sources of motive for the attackers. And how they attack on particularly Android phones. The major opportunity is Android is an open source project, and the kernel policies, everything is open in your Android, and it is quite easy for the attackers to understand the code, and they can easily identify the weakness or intrusion sources in the Android phones. Okay, so this is one typical means of attacks, and they generate the attacks. Another means of attack is the Play Store, Google Play Store. And everyone knows that you usually install that apps from Google Play Store. And these Google Play Store apps, I don't know how many of you know, but actually there is a tool called Google Bouncer. Okay, this is a emulating environment, which whenever a new application, new app of the Android app is submitted to Google Play Store, it actually checks whether that particular application is submitted in the Play Store is malicious or not. Okay, but unfortunately, it can't check the updates. So many of the times, attackers, what they do is, the first occasion they place a genuine, normal, benign application onto the Play Store, and after you install that application, during the update time, they send the malicious content into your phone, and they start attacking on your system. So most of these attacks are called dynamic attacks. So they go by dynamic attacks. So Google Play Store don't have a mechanism to check such updates, and unfortunately, it also can't check the vulnerabilities, particularly because it is a what do you call it's a emulator. So emulator can't allow calling or sending the SMS or something like that. So any attacks related to SMSs or calling related attacks, this Google Play Store cannot recognize. So that's the reason why attackers know these kind of weaknesses. They create the attacks based on these kind of weaknesses. Okay, and apart from that, there are many other infection sources. Particularly, if you are, I mean, suppose one of your friends sent you a Google app link from your WhatsApp message. Most of the times, what you do is you will just directly download it. That means it's not even going to Google Play Store. You are directly downloading from some third party, and these third party downloads are much more dangerous than the Google Play Store downloads. They generate new sort of attacks. Okay, so these are other easy infection vectors. And apart from that, SMSs, Bluetooth, internet downloads, I mean, many other sort of sources are there, which led to several sort of new types of attacks. Like, for example, in the case of Bluetooth, there is an attack called fake token attack, and in the case of there are drive-by download attacks, There are Droid Dream attack, ISMS hider. I mean, there are many attacks. Like there is tracker attack, GG tracker attack, right? And there is unserver bot attack, base bridge attack. I mean, there are many attacks which are typically,
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Rakesh, am I audible?
You are audible, sir.
Yes,
We-
Babu, we are audible. You are audible.
Sir, some glitch is happening. Shyamapad, sir.
Naresh Babu,
Sir,
tell me.
I think there is some issue at SAR end.
Should I call him?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling.
Rakesh, so participant due to some network issues are got disconnected. So let's wait for few minutes. Sir, you are not audible.
this is a static feature. Permission is a static feature.
System got disconnected or what happened?
Sir, it is okay now, sir. You can share your screen. Yes, sir. Mr. Shiv Mallikarjun, please mute yourself. Shiv Mallikarjun, please mute yourself.
Dr. Naresh,
Mr.
can you please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay, nice. So I'm sorry for the disconnection.
Mahendra sir.
Okay, just we are almost like I don't know, like where did I get disconnected? But I'm just trying to revise the statements. Like these are different malware exist, and in order to deal with this malware, there are different detection mechanisms available. They are typically classified into static, dynamic, and hybrid detection model. And static detection models are meant for dealing with static features, like for example, in the case of Android phone, your permissions are one sort of static feature, and network traffic is a dynamic feature. Hybrid is a combination of these kind of features, and with this, there are several researches happening across the globe towards this direction, and from our lab also we proposed 5 algorithms, 5 different approaches: static based algorithms and dynamic based algorithms. We have designed 2 models. In the hybrid based algorithms also we designed 2 models. So in the interest of time, I probably cannot be able to present it to you, but those who are interested can let's just go through our research papers to understand better how to deal with this, like static approach. For the static approach, permissions are the sources of attacks. So one of the research problem is how to effectively use permission patterns to detect the handed malwares. So this is published in this paper, and we rigorously covered different aspects of it. And I recommend people to go through our papers, and you can use these papers for pursuing your BTech project, MTech project, or even like you can start your PhD work from this point. Okay, so we designed a graph representation based perm pair model to address this problem. And as I told, dynamic models are typically the network traffic based attacks, and we also focused on how to distinguish normal traffic from malicious traffic. Okay, and in this direction, we proposed 2 different algorithms, 2 different models. Okay, and initially we tested that on emulator, but we realized that emulator based results are not so good. So we went for buying new mobile phones, and we tested on the real environment, and the results are very promising. And yeah, these are all different like studies we have done, and we realized that there are 9 features, the traffic features, 9 traffic features basically. Oh, sorry, these are the 9 traffic features which actually are very, very important in the attack surface. Okay, and we try to analyze them in further different ways, and we published in a paper. And we also understood that some of the malware samples are actually using encryption mechanisms to attack on the systems. So we worked towards that direction also, how to deal with this encrypted traffic. Okay. Later, we worked on combining these approaches, and we can go through this research paper. This provides you very beautiful idea of how to design a both permissions and network traffic features together. And another model we proposed using machine learning algorithms, and in that we used k-medides and KNN algorithm to monitor the traffic, k-medides for clustering of the features, and then KNN to detect the malware of the applications. So these are all the approaches. I'll skip all these steps because they are all actually very important. The conclusion is that so if you independently use a detection algorithm, okay, whether it is static or dynamic, if you go with what is called hybrid approach, the detection accuracies are drastically increasing. Okay. So this is another paper in which we actually published this combined approach of supervised and unsupervised mechanisms for detecting the malware. So you can refer to this paper to understand it better. So that's all for from my end, and just I'll quickly emphasize a few points that data and identity theft are the potential risks. Your IoT devices, mobile devices, cloud can be vulnerable, and location-based tracking attacks are very common in these kind of environments. Apart from that, technology failures can also be there. They may also lead to attacks. And more importantly, these technologies, of course, make the people lazy, and this laziness further adds a new sort of attacks for the people. So it is always good to use best practices, use complex passwords, don't use public or free Wi-Fi's. Okay. And always read, learn the manuals, the documents thoroughly before you buy any new device, and update the firmware or the software regularly. And as I told you in the IoT, the aquarium example, right? Avoid linking all the accounts and devices together. Okay. And wherever possible, purchase insurance coverage. Particularly these days, we are also having identity theft coverage also for apart from the physical equipment for insurance. Yeah, wherever possible, use secure communication tools like HTTPS. So that's all from my end. Thank you so much for invitation, and I'm available from these sources. And if you have any questions, I'll take some questions. Otherwise, let's close the talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for delivering the nice talk, exploring us various threats and challenges. Okay, so questions from audience.
Thank you, Nareshji. Thank you so much.
Any questions from audience?
Good afternoon, sir. Only I have one query. Can we use blockchain for security issues of IoT to solve the security issues of IoT? Because we already learned PCT also in the last 5 days.
Yes, you can.
Oh.
You can. And in fact, there is a lot of research already existing, and from our lab also, we are designing a model. I mean, maybe in my next talk, I mean, we sent a paper on that, and once it gets approved, we will present that paper also in maybe in a couple of coming talks.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, I'm providing you my contact details in the chat box. My email, Facebook, and LinkedIn links. You can always be in touch with me through these forums.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shyamji and Nareshji, for invitation to this talk. Thanks to all the participants for patient listening to my talk and appreciations. Yes, anything else?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So I'm leaving the meeting. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir. Yes, sir. So thank you, participants. So again, I think at 3 o'clock you are having test. Shamapad sir?
Yes, yes, sir. So this is my request to every participant. Please join at 3 so that we will know that how many of you are present there. And then we will be sharing a link, Google Form link. Okay, having MCQ questions. So you have to solve these questions and submit that for the test. And after that, we have valedictory session, 4 o'clock. So there also you must be present because there will take a screenshot or photo of all the participants along with the dignitaries. So I request you all to be present at 4 o'clock also. So thank you for your patience and all. So we'll be coming back at 3 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Naresh.
okay. See you at 3 o'clock. Thank you all.